Welcome. A day late, but I am here. Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn, and apologize for the day late. And I hope that all of you check for the show schedule, where well, you have to go to the main website, and then where you would go to leave a comment there for me. That's where you can access the How It's Done series of amazing episodes. And I want to address those right now. The How It's Done series, if you're new to the show, or even if you've seen many of me in this podcast, or then in the live show many years before that. I've been part of Gem Shopping for about 14 years out of their 25, so a good long time. I was actually in the old building, and that kind of separates the old crowd from the newer crowd, as if you ever had worked in the old building. Quite the experience. So anyway, I'm here, and I am grateful to be here, even if it's a day later. Now, I referred to the How It's Done series. If you ever need a fix of Shawn, not items for sale, but if you want to know how all those beautiful pieces of jewelry are made that you see in the other shows here, you will, like I said, I wish I could issue like a graduation certificate if you watched all 30, because there's everything from how to take your ring off without destroying it, like a hospital would, or again, really the best one was in reference to that. And you know, I forget that with the this being on YouTube, that of course not only does Gem Shopping can be accessed, of course, worldwide, but almost on every TV network, Gem Shopping is going to be there. But then with also its social media presence, so many other ways to access it as well. So a fellow from Wales, which is part of the British Isles, part of England, had sent me, which you can respond actually where you see the in a separate place directly, and I get and ask for questions where the learning center is. So this one fellow from Wales said he was desperate because his 4-year-old daughter, you know, the little hole at the end of a frying pan, great, nice, heavy black frying pans that you hang up through that hole. She had put her finger through that hole, and they could not get it off, and he was panicked. So he went to the internet and typed in how to remove, you know, a ring is what he put in there, and boom, up popped our video that Asif produced and directed, and I hosted and demonstrated all the various techniques, and he used one of those techniques, and it worked wonderfully. So I feel, you know, so great to save a 4-year-old. And then also the how to drill a gemstone crystal has received well over 100,000 views. So there's a lot of need for some of that information there. But the most important part is I covered how you make a ring using the lost wax method. That is taking wax, whether you hand carved it or whether it was carved by a 3D machine or a CAD cam, whatnot. This, though, true old style. I carved it in wax by hand, and it shows the entire process, including alloying the gold, the flush setting, how to do that. Also, we covered what would be a legally acceptable pendant that was completely handmade. The FCC tightened down the FTC tightened down the regulations and what is required to be able to call something handmade. And in this pendant that's rose gold with opals, including an opal that spins around, It is amazing. It's truly handmade, all the way from alloying to the completion of the piece. You get to see every stage of it. Now, I am referencing that most importantly again because I'll finish real quickly because then we're going to get to, we have a lot to do today. But let me give you the short story because I saw in every one of all of your comments, you asking how Raven is, the better half of the team here. And she's not with me today, and it may be a while. The day I left recording the show here, which was actually today's Monday, and that's why we're recording, that's why you are seeing the show on Tuesday. And Asif, out of just wonderful being able to work with me, and also Asif offered some incredible heart-to-heart spiritual advice and of this, because when I left here a week ago past Thursday, after recording the last show you watched, I went straight to the emergency room. And what entailed from there was Raven just got out this past Thursday. So she was in 8 days in the hospital, 5 days in the ICU. She got pneumonia in both lungs. And I didn't realize until, of course, then you read afterwards that something as serious as the type pneumonia that she had, that it can affect you mentally. And she was just kind of bonkers, and she was losing her balance and couldn't answer. It just was not making sense. So luckily, we didn't wait any longer. Her breathing was horrible. It wouldn't have been something I would have guessed. She had a fever, other symptoms. Who would have known? So it has been a difficult time. But she is out, and that little tough as nails, small but mighty, has been around COVID, never got it. They thought it was COVID 3 different times. They tested her for COVID, and no, it never was. It was pneumonia. So, thank you for all your thoughts and prayers, because she is out now. And, if I'm dragging a little bit, it's because I was able to make remember I referenced it. So as a family, you have to know, I made it to I would have so regretted it, to my family reunion, which has only 5 siblings. You remember my sister passed away a year and a half ago. And so I made it to the family reunion, considering, I would have been the odd man out. But it all depended on Raven. She was my priority. But her daughter, she can't be left alone still. So her daughter has come in and helped out a lot with her boyfriend. And remember, Summer is the one that does those incredible mineral paintings. So ornaments. And which any of you, if you want, and you have a particular specimen like Miss Gabby is doing, send a picture of it, and she will paint it on a wooden ornament disc. You can hang it on your Christmas tree, or if you have a particular picture of a specimen you just happen to like, out of anywhere you find it, she'll do that. And they were able to come in and gave me confidence, because my son drove all the way down, and his wife, from Washington, D.C. I didn't get to see much of him, but he was able to drive me up to my dad's, which I really, really preferred, because then you have the captured time with him in the car and there and back from where I live. It's not that far, about an hour and 10 minutes at the most from where I live to LJ, but they lived for 40 years on it's the side of a mountain. And when I went there, I had a Jeep, and I was 20 years old, and I saw it when it was a slab. I thought, where have my parents moved now? Because they were one of those that, would just throw a dart at a map, and my dad could work anywhere there was a mailbox, and that's where we go. So it was pretty interesting to see where they had moved us, the family home next, because they were empty nesters by then. But my dad took on another family with his other wife, which is almost married as long as he was to my mom. He's about 30 years, but he was married to my mom for 41, so maybe another decade to go. He's 91 and a half, and how could I miss that? It was a Father's Day celebration of him. He was the patriarch and still existing, and except for being helped walk a little bit, his mind is amazingly sharp. I swear, a lot of times it felt sharper than mine. I spent as much time sitting next to the patriarch as I could. I was born on his birthday. It was a great time. So this past week has been a lot of emotions, and for me to get out and do something like that, that was energetic. There was a pond. I actually did some fishing, and in the sun, got some vitamin D. And the big thing is though, I fell. I fell on the day that Raven actually. It was the day before, Wednesday, and I didn't fall by just falling. We're not talking about her falls. I was standing there pouring a drink, and I shifted my weight to my right hip, just to my right leg, I guess. And boy, it popped. It sounded as loud as a gun. And, you know, maybe some of you had some experience with that, but I sure haven't. I went straight to the kitchen floor, having no idea. Painful, having no idea what happened. And I just really thought, you know, said a prayer. I thought, please let me be able to get up. And I did. It was extremely painful to walk. And I did really the smart thing, because if I hadn't have, I wouldn't have been able to, you know, go see my dad. I wouldn't have been able to really accomplish a lot. So I really stayed off of it the next day. And I could feel it got a little better. And the next day, a little better. And so by Saturday, I walked with a little bit of limp, and I took a cane in case I needed it, but it turned out okay. I don't know what the bigger reason for things, why they happened for what they do, but I was ready to accept it, even though it was some really bad timing. So it's been a really difficult week. If I sound a little dragging, well, I'll pick up some speed maybe as we go, because I have some of the most amazing items. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so you already know that Shawn needs more money, all right? And yeah, we got to get to the skin doctor, and we got plenty of moles that need some cutting off. But now there's just another little bit of financial issue, and it's called 8 days in the hospital. 5 in the ICU. Boy, you know what? When she signed the paperwork and all, I said, did you look at any numbers? She goes, nope. I said, I'm not going to either. What difference does it matter if it's X number of dollars or X with another 0 number of dollars? I don't know. I'm just, you know, even if you have insurance, even if they pay 80-20, it's still going to be a lot. I don't even want to talk about that. That's beside the point. But what it's going to do, it is going to benefit all of you, because you might even see behind me some things you haven't seen before. I was able to sneak some things out of the house before Raven saw exactly what I was wrapping up. But, you know, there comes a time that I want to share these items. I want to share these items that we have loved, enjoyed, and treasured. And then now it's because I have already gone through the tough work and high-graded them, or have gotten them at prices that you could never find them. And, you know, all of you seem to like what I like, the unusual stuff, the different stuff, and stuff at a great price. So I'm able to do that for you and pass that on. And, you know, by no means are we out of, you know, the love of rocks and minerals. All we're doing is possibly raising some funds, needed funds. But the other thing is, it's just kind of cutting back. I mean, my son considers us both hoarders. He goes, both of you are just as bad. And it's, you know, yeah, what am I going to say? Okay, you know, to some people, our house would be cluttered, and it would be like, drive them nuts. But for us, when you have, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't even know, 400 specimens right on the mantle. I don't know, maybe another 20 on each side and on the bottom. I mean, that's the bigger stuff. The credenza that she fell up against, I don't know, I started counting the other day, and I got halfway through and I was at like 250. It was just, so to sell off the number of items that we have, you know, we don't like any of them, to let go of any of them, but it's time. So I love finding out where the items go, especially some of the neat, different, unusual ones. Let's get to the comments, because I could talk on, by the way. So got her home, and, you know, it's going to be a while before she can drive or come back to work, but 2 days afterwards, she's saying, you know, I really need to think about getting back to work. It's like, no, you don't. You guys know that she works with different vendors and shows, and you know, they're fully understanding. She does a great job. She's wanted, including my show, wherever she has helped different vendors and different shows. So she is much in demand, and that job, whatever it may be, will be waiting for her when she's healed properly, and we're not going to rush that situation. So, okay, let's go. All right, starting, and the way we do this, I take for time-wise, the longest or the oldest written email starts back first. So that's how we go. So we have George. George, yeah, we like to hear from George. George, of course, is our resident official geologist of our little mineral family club here. So it's always great to hear him chime in. And remember also, George is the one that does not like ore minerals, like, let's say, galena or pyrite or sphalerite, or, you know, the minerals that you smelt down for the zinc or copper or gold or those kind of things. That's kind of interesting, a way to collect, actually, to limit yourself in a way and say, okay, no ore minerals. And that's quite fascinating. And never thought about it doing it that way. Everybody's got to have some limit, except Shawn. I never had much of a limit. It was full go on everything. And that's why you keep seeing this huge different array of stuff. And you're going to continue to see even more now. So let's get going. Hi, Shawn and Rockers and GSN staff, and of course, Raven. Right after I posted my trivia answer, Diamond Way, I saw that a new show had been posted. I was too late and guessed too high. I would like to warn the new YouTuber purchasers to be careful on the internet. Let's see what George has to say, because remember, so many times I have warned all of you. There are many scams. I have even gotten bitten by some. I didn't know that they were making fake trapeche emeralds, sapphires out of real gems. Wait, let me read that. We're making fake trapeche sapphires, emeralds out of real gems, and calling them natural. Remember, that's what I told you when it came to an amethyst story I told you about, where they said natural amethyst. But what they left out was the word naturally grown amethyst. It is all about semantics sometimes. Yes, natural, technically, it's silicon dioxide and the color purple. So, and it was grown naturally in a lab. I mean, where did natural what? Difference one word can make. There are many scams. I've even gotten bitten by some. I bought some USA silver dollars, great counterfeits. They look very good, right color, right weight, but they were fakes. Watch extra carefully for stores out of China, India, even some USA stores sell by acting like they don't know what they are selling, implying with question marks. My question, after spending months in Franklin, North Carolina in the late 50s and 60s, I saw on an auction site in the USA a ruby pseudomorph after quartz. From Franklin, North Carolina, collected in 1981. Boy, that was right on the heels of, after many, many years of me spending every summer in Macon County, North Carolina, and going to the Cowie Valley, all the different stories I've told you about with my experiences there. So, George, I know a lot about what was going on in the Cowie Valley in 1981, having graduated high school 79, which would have followed all those long summers prospecting since the age of 11 in that county. My uncle owned a farm, 200 acres, Apple Tree Farm, well known. We have a road named after the family name in that area as well. So George goes on to say, I don't remember anything like this, do you? No, George, I don't remember anything like this because there is no such thing. Okay, so it's real simple in pseudomorphs. The way to think about whether something can occur or not. So a pseudomorph is where another mineral is dissolved away and it leaves a cast or an impression of what it was in, you know, whatever kind of more stable rock around it. So if you have a hot solution coming through that either chemically or temperature-wise can dissolve the existing mineral, which are mostly low-temperature minerals, everything from halite salts to calcites to carbonates, which acids easily get, even upwards of, you have etching that occurs in aquamarine and some others, but rarely do you get a total pseudomorph. So the original has to be replaced by the other going away. So if you have, let's see, so he says a pseudomorph after quartz. So you have to start off with the quartz. The quartz has to be dissolved away, then everything has to be chemically correct for the aluminum oxide to grow and fill in the space where the quartz would have been. And that would be a really, really, from a chemical and chemistry standpoint, very difficult for both things to occur. The quartz, even now, to clean quartz, don't ever do it. As far as trying to dissolve quartz away, they do it. When you find these beautiful gold specimens that you see on the covers of the magazines, and this gorgeous wire gold and these beautiful formations, and you wonder, wow, you know, how did they remove that, or how did that survive without just getting crushed up or smashed or whatever? They didn't. That's not the way it came out of the ground. It would have, in most cases, be encased in another mineral, most often quartz. There's only one real acid that can dissolve quartz, and it is hydrofluoric acid. Never, ever, ever. Well, for one thing, you can't get it. I can get it because I can access and the business and the license to be able to have those kind of acids. So for one thing, thank goodness you can't just go and buy it. But secondly, if you could, it is not, even I have a whole array of acids, and I love my acids, but I respect them, and there's one I don't have, and I won't have, and that's hydrofluoric acid. Extremely dangerous. It's one of those acids that once it starts eating, it's kind of like, I think it's on one of those alien shows or something, you know, their blood or something is acidic like that, and it just keeps eating through the ship, and it doesn't stop. That's pretty much what hydrofluoric acid would do. I've accidentally splashed, hydrochloric acid up on my head, and I can feel something start burning and burning and burning. Keep baking soda around always to neutralize things like that. So, but hydrofluoric acid, I'd have another hole in my head, one more than already the way too many I already have. So, yeah. So that's what, okay, for quartz to dissolve, it would take just combinations, very, very unusual that would occur in nature. And that would be my first tip-off. It's like quartz just doesn't get removed, dissolved, whatever, and replaced by something else, aluminum oxide. My goodness, even a higher temperature kind of mineral. I mean, the temperatures it takes to heat treat, at a high level, or to create, synthetic corundum is really high temperature stuff. So, yeah, that's not one that I've ever heard of, nor anything that I think has occurred in nature. But that takes a lot of different knowledge, and not everybody has that knowledge. So, George, I would say no such thing. I don't even know if this is chemically possible. Wow, okay, so that's George's next line. No, George, it is not chemically possible, and I was keeping my answer kind of simple. I could get into that, but we won't get into it just because no one needs to know that. Just know that there's no such thing. You can't do it. End of story. All right. He goes, I would have missed a trivia question. My answer was iron and manganese. I did know Mn2 was magnetic. Too old school or bad memory. LOL. We did not have neodymium magnets available when I was in college, so I really could not use magnetism to determine garnet types back then. I hope all my pounds of brown sapphire crystals from Cowie Valley are real. Stay well and rock on, George says. George, oh, I guess you didn't see the show a few shows back when I was offering those brown corundum crystals from India for, I don't know, I think $20 a pound if they were that much. I put them on sale. I think I have another pound or two left, probably some more at home. No, George, that is not, especially if any of those crystals were more than 10 carats, which almost all of them are. So I'm real familiar with all the corundum, good, bad, and indifferent comes out of the Cowie Valley. And all those bigger brown crystals, from the shape of the crystal to the color of the material to the size of the material to the associated minerals on the material. All those will tell you, when you're really familiar with the Cowie Valley material, that they're not from the Cowie Valley. So it would be really rare even to find a crummy piece of corundum that would be over 10 carats. And most likely your brown corundum pieces are quite large. So I hope you didn't spend much money on them, George. George, what are you doing? You got the show here. Ask me first. Ask a request. I could have told you, get some info, then make your purchase. Just saying. Okay, we have, hey, Miss Griffin. We have a new member, Jalila. Jalila answering the question. So first, let me say what the questions were. It was, what is the impurity in hessonite garnet that gives it the color it has? Okay, so remember, hessonite garnet is one of the types of Grosschler garnet. And the answer was Fe3+, the valence of 3+. So, which I wasn't requiring to get the valence right. Just iron would work well, so she got that right. The second question was, what two rare earth elements are found in tantalite? Answer being tantalum. I love names that give you some information, which tantalite certainly does. And the other is niobium. I actually have, I don't have any pure tantalum or anything, but I have a pure niobium because it is a solder pick used for mostly platinum. And so it takes real high temperatures, and one of its uses why it's desirable as a rare earth element in the industry. So those were the answers. Miss Jalila getting them correct. She says ferric iron for yellow and brown hues, ferrous iron for red hues, and manganese for orange hues. Getting some answers right, plus some more that I didn't even say. And then she gets the tantalum and niobium. So welcome to, at least maybe you've been watching and following and been here for a while, so I'm glad you finally, Miss Jalila, joined in and answered. Well done. We have next, hello, Rock family. Shawn, I am sending healing thoughts to Raven. I could feel your distress from her falling. Good thing you were right there with her. It could have been much worse. I hope now that it has been almost a week that there has been great improvement for you both. Getting both of the answers right, and Miss Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania sending that. Then we have, hi, Professor Raven, GSN crew and the whole Rock family. First, I hope Raven has recovered. That was a frightening experience. This is from Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Second, I need help with an item. Second from last, you showed a pink rhodochrosite I wanted to buy, but you reused the item number from the Peru quartz with sphalerite from earlier. Yeah, it was actually the way I said the number. We didn't reuse it. I just spoke it, and it came out sounding different than it was supposed to be. I'm going to give you the right one in a minute. If you could provide the proper item, I would indeed like to purchase it for $118. Oh, you're going to make sure I didn't go up on it. I was checking with Kevin, and I didn't get an answer back, but I will make sure that no one else grabs it. I have the item number for you. I'll give it to you in just a moment. Congrats to Miss Gabby on the calcite. Getting such a special specimen is a real coup. Yeah, that was, and I'm glad she recognized it for what it was, especially since it has almost an identical carbon copy of that specimen in the mineral record, which is pretty neat to see. No two specimens can really grow that similar to each other in something like that unless it comes from that exact particular source. It's kind of a great way to know exactly where it's coming from, be confirmed. Getting such a special specimen is a real coup. As to the trivia, Fe3 plus is the ion that gives color to the hessonite garnet, and tantalum and niobium are the REEs, which are rare earth elements. Correct again. Having house guests for the next 2 weeks or so. We'll dip in whenever time allows. Be well, y'all. Especially you, Miss Raven, from Miss Barbara. Okay, that item number, Miss Barbara, is 482. So, well, I won't confuse by saying what the other one was, but I'm going to read out each one. 482-1060522. And I'll make sure that no one swoops in, since no one actually has seen it, but they may have remembered it and gets that from you, that it's going to be reserved from you, Miss Barbara, provided that someone else wasn't clever in as far as a sales rep and realized that the other number being 10, I would have said 6 and then 65. So it would be 106502. So it's just one number kind of offsetting the other. And if they could have figured that out, maybe they could have found it. But I think things happen for a reason, so that one, it sounds like it's probably reserved for you. But if it's certainly going to be if it hasn't sold. So use that new number I gave you, call in, and I'll mention it to Kevin that it's for you, and so that no one else grabs it in the meantime. Miss Peggy in South Carolina. Dear Raven, Professor, the amazing crew, and all of us rockhounds. Wow, what a show. I wish it was longer, but I understand that with the kind of night you needed to make the show shorter. Please do not feel bad. Yeah, I went from here directly to the emergency room. I am sure that she forgives you. All a positive thoughts sent your way. And thank you for coming in to do a show for us. I really thank you so much. I have to open up my internet and see your happy face. You bring such beautiful pieces. I wish I could get them all. Thanks for showing the fulgurites. I was so happy to finally get one to add to my collection. Now, since I already have a Withlacoochee coral, and I bought the Tampa Bay coral from you last week, I really have a good beginning of a collection from the state I grew up in, Florida. Yes, you do, because, Florida doesn't offer too many things. So, get a Fort Drum calcite from Jacksonville. You probably want one of those. I showed a kind of crummy one that I had offered, but it was still had neat fossils and neat clamshell to it, and a little bit of the calcite. I think I have it. I don't think y'all bought the two different ones I had. So you want to add a Florida calcite to it. And other than that, fossils. I mean, you have scored really what Florida mostly has to offer. There's some phosphate minerals, but not much going on with them. And none of those are too excited, because really, Central Florida, a lot of people will drive and they'll see these gigantic, the highest points in Florida are the top of the refuse mounds from the mining of the phosphates that go on. Problem is that there's a layer of phosphate that is actually radioactive. And this ties into the whole thing. It has due to potassium 40, a breakdown and a radioactive signature to a particular layer of phosphate. So what they do with those phosphates, they pile them and set them to the side and big those gigantic mounds. Yeah, it looks like a mound of what would be a dump, but they're bigger and they're white. So that's why, remember when I tell you, if I have a big megalodon shark's tooth, having the Geiger counter, and I have 2 shark teeth, one radioactive and the other not, I'd bet you bottom dollar that the one comes from South Carolina and the other one will be from Florida, Sarasota, those counties, and elsewhere around there. So yeah, the Geiger counter helps when you know the knowledge to be how to apply the knowledge and the use of those little counts per minute matter. And then the magnet. And my brother, who has had a jewelry store in Rocky Mount, North Carolina for decades, I got to see him this past weekend, and I always bring him a neat little gizmo, a jewelry gizmo. He I don't know. I mean, I guess, well, he's not an internet person, so he is amazed at these things that I have and find and that I use actively in our show. And it's like, well, I don't know. If you've been to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, it says everything else. That explains it. But anyway, what I gave him was 2 of the neodymium magnets. And Mr. Tough Guy, they were 2 of the stronger ones, okay? Like the one, official one I use that is used by the gem trade, and the one they've actually set one as designated that one as the one to use for testing so that you get continuity in testing. But anyway, so the 2 of them happen to be together, and I was going to pull the 2 apart, and I said, no, let Mr. Tough Guy, my one step up older brother. And he goes, oh, well, I can get these apart if I just slide them. And he sat there, and he sat there, and he struggled, and he struggled. And it was a riot, because I had already struggled a little bit. And I thought, okay, well, even if he's stronger than me, I said, I can't get these apart. What I have to do, I go with a fine knife blade. I actually use the edge of, which I meant to tell him to use like a gem scoop, but the end of this tweezer right there to be able to separate the magnets, because when they come together, no, he couldn't even pull them apart. So he was so impressed, the neodymium magnets did it for him. And all right, so we go on, and Miss Peggy says, okay, so she gets the hessonite garnet. She even gets the Fe3+ for the iron, the rare minerals, tantalum and niobium. Please stay inside this week. I know I am. It is so dangerously hot this week. I can't even look out the window without sweating. Find your joy. Peggy from South Carolina. I know. It happened to be a perfect weather up in LJ. Of course, that's up in the mountains. Saturday. It got hot before, got hot after. It was perfect to be outside. I mean, there was a lot of us. So, yeah, they had big fans. But the whole, yeah, couldn't ask for a better get-together. We have Harry says, oh, I'm just in about tears about Raven. And the first comment you read, which was late for the day show, was mine right after you told everything about her falling. And darn it, in my opinion, you would have nothing to show any of us that you needed to be here at GSN doing the 523 show. I am sorry, and I feel terrible about her falling, and all of us here would totally understand your need to take care of her. But there you are. And I must say, you are a strong man for enduring all this and being there. Okay, that's just tragic, and healing will be in my daily prayers. You know, the one that really straightened me out from me going off the rails on it, and who called me as soon as I notified him, and which doesn't often happen. He's a very busy man, is Asif. He's sitting right here in front of me. And the words, I don't know. He would be saying, if I could see him, he's behind a big TV, and he's such a humble man, he wouldn't even want me to say these words. But to me, he walks a very holy path. And so it was wonderful, because he gave me guidance that took the situation away from any of my problems and my woes, or anything that I might look inwards to about me. And he made sure that I made it about Raven. And I remembered his words all week long. and it really helped a lot. It really helped a lot. And yeah, I couldn't even finish the conversation with much because on my end, I was just in tears. So I am really thankful for him. I didn't speak to him much throughout the week because, you know, what he had to say, we spoke a long time for he and I on the phone the first time around. And there was so much information that he gave me in that amount of time as far as how to look at things, the path to walk in regards to her health and what was going on, and really lifted me up and also grounded me and set me on the right path. So that when I fell and hurt my hip, it was inconsequential to the bigger and overall picture, because even at that point, she had not come home from the hospital yet, nor was even released. So, yeah. You get to see, well, I know why we are the friends that we are, and that's all that needs to be said. Certain things come out in people when you go through things like that, and they can be good, they can be neutral, or they can be negative. And wow, you know, it was everything he said was like coming from a higher spirit and a higher power than anything I had within me. So I'm very grateful to him for that. So, Harry, thanks for saying that, because pretty much what you said was kind of part of what Asif had said to me, you know, the focus on her and that the show can come later. He was actually surprised that I was here. So, but part of me, I probably needed to be here. But yeah, it worked out. I'm so happy Anthony found his anhydro. Woohoo, that's awesome. I have never seen one. I'm glad you found yours, and you talk about a couple small miracles on the fossil heart box for Brianna, and I plan on getting an inline bracelet blank with the graduated sizes and making a mice bracelet someday. They are just a bunch of beauties. Thanks for adding what to look for when trying to get a star on a sapphire crystal. Well, besides being wrong on the scratch test and the very well-formed mirror-like crystal sides, which really gave it away, he writes, not a sapphire. And I did exactly what you said for a second time on looking for the chatoyant silt end, flashing a little, and the opposite end would star. I totally get that, and ground domes on both ends and oiled them and found nothing. But I learned from you talking about finding stars on your rubies from India, right? You told us exactly how to see the markings for a star. Unfortunately, my client was misinformed, imagine that, as to what they were sworn to, that it was going to be a black sapphire. Well, this has been so long-winded, but again, Shawn, thank you for mentioning how to look for the makings in the star sapphire ruby, as you well instructed on. And I remembered, so this is why I asked you, but after I figured it out via use, I started polishing a stone I mentioned, and lo and behold, cerium oxide was creating nice facets. So it is definitely not sapphire, because we both know cerium will no way have hardness enough to polish sapphire. Very correct. Exactly. There you go. If cerium is able to do anything to it, polish it, grind away any of it, it is not sapphire, because you can only maybe attempt it if you use lindier, which is aluminum oxide. So same hardness kind of thing. Okay, on the trivia, he says manganese gives hessonite garnet its color. Well, we know one person that's not going back and rewinding to look for the answer. That was close. That was close, Harry. You keep working on it. Let's see, question 2. Tantalum and niobium are the two rare elements, he writes in Tantalite. Rare elements, always the jokester. Really, sir, I and the rest of us out here know how it thrashes you mentally if you don't make the show as scheduled. But for what it's worth, you never need to prove anything to us. Much love, Harry. I'm sure Raven will be right as rain really soon. Wow, that's really sweet, Harry, and I really appreciate that. I do everything I can to get here, and yeah, Asif knows that it really bums me out when I can't. So I just know I got to get a show in a week for you guys, and I just even didn't like for you to look forward to it yesterday and it not be there. But one day later. So thank you, Harry. And you almost got the hessonite part right, almost. Hello, everyone. Shawn, can't tell you how sorry I am to hear about Raven's accident. Sounds like you were hurt on some levels more than she was. My heart goes out to you both. I know you did everything you could, and thank goodness you saved her from the TV and thunder-based specimen. I know. So the other day, when she was a little better, she said, "How's my amethyst?" referring to the thunder-based specimen that's right in front of the TV. And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I just picked it up and put it back in the stand." I said, "That wasn't really my concern." But you can see it was hers. True rock hound. Positive vibes coming her way. Trivia, iron, tantalum, and niobium. Good job. This is from Miss Gabby, by the way. Miss Gabby says, love that Ray Mine Chrysocolla. I have one I got from you a while back, but not as gemmy as that one. I know exactly the one you got, Miss Gabby, a while back, and that was a really nice one that you have. Even though this one was gemmy, it was gemmy in, the fact that the quartz crystals itself were, and the formation, well, it was really nice. But let me just tell you, Miss Gabby, I don't know when, I have to find them, because several months ago I noticed from the nice shelf I had them displayed on that are a couple of other really nice specimens. Yeah, she hid. I kid you not. She was afraid I was going to sell them, and she hid them from me. Now she's not really sure where she put them. Now that she got a reason to make like her brain's not right, we'll see how long she carries that on. But I want to see if not just to even show all of you. I think I brought one in just to show you what really nice material was, and the specimen. So, but again, since we need more money, probably going to be seeing those. So keep your eyes peeled. They'll be in a different price range, though, than that one, just to let you know. Our Scooby-Doo right, which for those who have followed the show know I am referring to Scooterudite, but warmly and affectionately known as Scooby-Doo right from the Raven, was right next to the amethyst specimen. And, that thing is heavy, heavy. If you want to see a real unusual mineral, it's Scooterudite, and it is stunning in this particular specimen. It is nicer than anything else that we have offered in Scooterudite. Yeah, there's really a mineral called Scooterudite, and Skutter. It will give you enough to find the rest of it. But that one's probably going to be sold too, so just keep sticking around. Okay, so back to the Chrysocolla. I have one I got from you a while back, but not as gemmy as that one. Congrats to whoever got it, she says with her teeth clenched. So yeah, no one has fessed up as to who got that specimen yet. We'll see if anybody does. Speaking of Sweet Home in Detroit City, Grow to Crow site, I found out recently that there have been no nice specimens coming out of the Detroit portal in some time. Finding some chunks of it, but no good stuff. Again, keeping you and Raven in my thoughts and prayers. Always, Miss Gabby. That's interesting to know. And you know what? I don't mind that. I think there's the rhodochrosite specimens that are in the market are beautiful. They're out there, and that's how the value's going to go. We don't want to keep finding more and more, right? But a little more might have been good. But that's good information. I'd like to hear that. We have Miss Ursula. Shawn, hello, and so sorry to hear about all the unfortunate difficulties you and Miss Raven experienced last week, and could hear in your voice how upset you were still with yourself. I am sure that our GSN community and rockhounds are wishing her a speedy recovery. She does not even remember that entire event happening. And she bruised her eye really, really badly, and almost they had an x-ray. They did actually a CAT scan of her head because they were afraid she had split this bone. Unbeknownst to us, she got up another time in that night, had her drink cup that are metal, these nice metal drink cups, and somehow fell. The drink cup came, flipped up, hit her underneath the eye. She has a black eye that is not going to go away for a while. It's terrible. And so I'm very fortunate that could have gone much worse. On a lighter note, there was nothing inferior looking about this Imperial Hessonite gemstone, which got its glorious color from iron impurities. Absolutely lovely looking. Tantalum and niobium are the rare earth elements. By tantalite is coveted for industrial use. The smoky quartz specimen from New Hampshire exceeded all my expectations, and it's absolutely amazing to see the various growth within the different pockets. Thank you for sharing it. Wow, I was wondering who was going to be the clever one to get that specimen. I mean, a New Hampshire smoky quartz? Come on, that's quite unusual. And the way the specimen was laid out and those other formations in it. So Miss Ursula picked up on that, and great job to her for being the one to nab it. Well done there. All right, so now we have, let's see, from Harrigan. Hey there, Shawn. Quick question on a location. Have you ever heard of black sapphire material coming out of Dillon, Montana? Okay, you know, believe it or not, I'm actually familiar with that question. No. The only thing sapphire in Dillon, Montana, I kid you not, is a beauty salon named Sapphire. And because of that, and because of the way the internet works, that's all it takes to cross-reference it and all of a sudden be spitting out Sapphire, Dillon, Montana. No sapphires in Dillon, Montana. The closest sapphires, of course, are in Phillipsburg, and it's from the well-known the Rock Creek deposit, which is that series of alluvial mining for the most part, which is 200 miles northwest of Yellowstone, which you should know where that is this past week. Got a lot of different news there. So Beauty Sun, and the other thing is that throws people off is there was a cut that a private cutter on the internet did, just his own design, and he did it using Montana sapphires, but he named the cut, and I'm giving him free publicity here, but the sapphires, you don't want them. And oh my goodness, were they expensive. Someone should have bought, whoever bought my sapphire rough that I had from Montana, good on them, because wow. Anyway, he named the cut Dillon Rose. So probably his name, his wife's name, who knows? Dillon Rose is the name of the cut. So again, with sapphire, you get the association of Dillon, and when you get two things associated with sapphire, you're going to get that cross-reference. So, but as far as the reality of the situation, no, there's no sapphire mine in Dillon, Montana. So, but interesting how wrong the internet can be. Miss Elisa says, hello, Professor Shawn, the lovely Raven, GSN crew, and Rockhounds. I am so sorry to hear about what happened with Raven. I know she would not want to be feeling like you let her down. You tried. We can only do so much. And Raven, I'm so sorry to hear about the fall and hope you are feeling much better. I'm praying for you all. Thank you so much for this amazing prize this week. My husband laughed and said it's the best of worlds for me, a gemstone and a puzzle in one. So remember, she got the 3-piece that was a 7-carat iridescent rainbow garnet from Japan, and so that's the one she won, and that's why she talks about the puzzle. I actually fiddled with it for a little bit, because if it was going to go together and all, and the total weight and what it was going to look like, it's like, but I thought, no, I'm going to share with someone, let someone have fun, and put it together with epoxy if you want it together. If not, just figure out how to do it quickly yourself, and then you can show people what a nice big one looks like, because it certainly, by way of its pieces, it looked beautiful. So I'm glad we could amuse your husband, and you know, that way, you know, pull him into, you know, our crazy and wacky passion we have. I'm opting out this week, but I wanted to give my answers, which are iron, tan, lemon, opium. Have a great week, everybody, and stay safe. So you would have gotten them all right from Mr. Brad. Mr. Brad, let's see. He says in Pennsylvania, Dear Shawn, please extend my sincerest wishes to Raven for healing and recovery. Be strong and hang in there. It sounds like you have some good help from family and friends. My prayers are for her healing, and that any trauma for you and the Raven may be removed. Thank you. Very kind. I hope that you can get some help from someone with the driving to ease the brain drain associated with commuting and the drive home afterwards. Yeah. Trivia. You're channeling them, iron, you know, you got them all right. I got the rock, by the way, in the Imperial Hessonite. I thought someone else said they got it. We'll see who winds up, who got that rock. I want to throw my hat in the ring on the axonite. Uh-oh, Miss Elisa, so I'm glad to see you're working on a second stone. Yeah, they're both going to be a good size. So, and the way I'm cutting both of them you're going to get a lot of unusual dichroic activity. So thanks to all the Rock family for the kudos on the foil back diamond. It's a pretty neat and unusual gift. The trick will be to not lose the diamond if I drop it, since I can't resist playing with it. I need to polish my tweezer skills. Be well. Things have to get better from here. Brad. Yes, and first learn how to put the diamond back in where it belongs and which way it goes, and then you can explain the whole story better on that. But yeah, that one will certainly, you certainly don't want to do it over carpet or anywhere that it can pop and fly to and not be recovered easily. Miss Penny, hello, Shawn, Raven, Gem Shopping Crew, and Rock family. Before anything else, I would like to wish Raven a speedy recovery and hope that her injury is not more serious than you described and no concussion is involved. No, not yet, until, she sees her Scooby-Doo right damaged or her Thunder Bay. Then no telling. I know she won't throw the rocks. She's not going to hurt the rock. Trivia. Iron is the element in hessonite garnet that gives it the color. Tantalum and niobium are the elements in tantalite. Since it was a new specimen, I knew you were going to ask about it, so I took notes, which I never do, but I had a hard time reading my chicken scratch, so I hope I got them right. I had a good chuckle when Harry said that he got the Orthoceras heart box, because that is the item I turned down, since by itself I couldn't justify the shipping cost to Quebec. I was wondering which one it was, Miss Penny, so thanks for telling me that. I can understand that then why it costs so much being out of the country. That makes sense. I did manage to get in India maroon chalcedony, even a week late, the Brazilian tourmaline, and the Peruvian quartz and sphalerite specimen. Well done. Then I had to stop shopping. That's it for now. I wish everyone a wonderful week, and once again, all the best to Raven. Thank you. Miss Sue in Texas says, have only time to listen to comments this week, but want to say that you and Raven are in my prayers. Take care of yourself. Wow. Thank you very much, Miss Sue. Mr. Anthony, hello all. Wow, what you shared with us about the Raven. Last week you mentioned she is working with other hosts, now maybe being admitted into a hospital. Bit of a shocker. I'm so sorry you guys are going through this rough patch. I'm not really a praying man, but I will be thinking and praying for you both. Wow, if I can bring out any kind of spirituality at any level in any form, that's cool by me. May sound a little corny, but you guys are a part of my life, albeit a few hours a week. No, there's nothing corny about that. I think every single person here that writes in feels the same way. And it's also the same feeling that why I want to be here, because I just want to complete that circle of passion and family love. I look forward to it every week. I just hope the Raven is okay and you, Shawn, are not a superhero. You just play one on TV and occasionally at home. I tried so hard. I dropped that whole bowl and smushed a bunch of blueberries trying to get to her, but that wasn't the point at it. I just know I gave it the best try I could once I saw her going back, but there just wasn't enough space. She was trying to stay forward. If I had more distance, I could have got her, but I didn't. She saw later, though, when the TV did come down and I kept her from going over, it hit the Thunder Bay. I mean, it is scratched, all these scratches on the screen. I mean, the old days, it would have been a glass, well, it probably wouldn't have fallen down. It probably would have stayed in place. It would have been a glass in a tube and all that other stuff. And, but if it would have crushed her. So, yeah, it is. But, you know, those will be memories now of a moment in time that we'll see every time we turn the TV on. One of them the other day, I thought was part of what they were showing on the TV, and no, it wasn't. Don't ever scratch your screen because you can see right through it. Okay, so let's see. Trivia, you got them all right. Well done to Mr. Anthony. Mr. Anthony then says, hey again from Anthony, I received the labradorite slab, but the only one was sent. Just to make sure I went back and watched the segment when you showcased slabs and it was priced on boats. Just want to get, yep, I took care of it. Another call in to Mr. Kevin, and I said, make sure you don't sell the other one singly. The second one was part of the sale. So I will get that out to you. Okay, so everybody did well with the answers, And we can only have one winner, and that winner this week is Mr. Anthony. Let's show you what you have won. Look at this. Okay, so because I'm actually including the stand, so you can, since you're clever, Anthony, you can figure out how to cut the stands fold, so you can notch them back here to be able to get this one to stand up on the same direction as the other one, and sit it in there where you want. Because look, these are the positive and negative image of a 300 million year old. Now, I know that you live in Massachusetts. That still as close enough to be part of somewhat of the Pennsylvanian formation. It's called the Pennsylvanian period, actually. The name they gave it to this geologic time frame of 300 million years ago. This is before there were mammals and birds and things. This is when there were sea life had left the ocean, and there was some insect life, but mostly this period of time is where there was so much, a much higher level of oxygen due to the number of plants on the earth. And because of that, you had all these plants that were, of course, falling, dying, being trapped, and over time, that is what gives us our fossil fuels that we pay $5 a gallon for now, and our oil, our natural gas that it was trapped in the bedrocks of time as it decomposed. So this one, you can see, I actually have the name of it. Mason Creek, Illinois, one of the most famous deposits for finding these type of ferns, and how they are able to split them so well like that. It is quite amazing. But it is free. You can see, well, you'll be able to get it at home and play with it closer to see all the neat detail in the leaves and everything. Of course, ferns were when you had ferns, they were not nearly as advanced as flowers, but they were one of the first plants that, as opposed to like mosses and lichens and things like that, first plants that actually had a way to disperse itself through the spores on the underside of the leaf, which you can still see to this day on modern fern plants. Anyway, fossils go along with rocks and minerals. You can't help but to love fossils well because of time frames and the geology to them as well, and everything. And so I have also in the exact type of I think this one is the Neuropterus, but you'll have that information as well. Mr. Anthony, congratulations to you. You now have something that is 300 million years old in a way too cool piece. Okay, let me put that away, and we'll be right back with the star of the show. Well, I guess this ring doesn't take much introduction, but between mole money and pneumonia money, yeah, it's time. That's okay. I always knew that there'd be a time, but provided that, of course, those videos, that's the other reason, because you never know. The How It's Done series, I believe, are still, of course, all in place. You can go and off of that series, I'm not sure how many episodes, because we broke it down into nice, small, easy to understand segments, but not many people have a record of the very beginning of including alloying the gold of making this ring to every step of its entire process of being made. You can have a record of it. This has been my personal ring for a number of years, as so many of you have seen it on my hand every day, every time I come here. One of my favorite rings of all time. I got the sapphire myself in Thailand decades ago, and waited, and it's weird. I could have made it a long time ago for myself, or have sold it and whatnot, but it worked out perfect. When Asif and I were creating that series, it worked out perfect to use that as the lost wax one, where I carved this wax by hand. No mechanical machines for me, no 3D printers for me. No, this is the old-fashioned style now, I should say. Yeah, all by hand in carving the wax, and all the rest of the processes. This is one of the most unusual bicolor sapphires you will ever see, and that's why, of course, I had to have it and treasured it for so very long. Look at that. You have that stunning stripe of clear sapphire with blue sapphire on either side. This is Thailand. Then, now, this is what not many goldsmiths are accomplished at. They often have to raise a bezel to set the stone in the raised bezel. This is, however, it goes by different names. I just like to call it flush set because it is. There is no raised bezel. I cut the metal out of the gold and then took that metal using a hammer handpiece and pushed that metal down around the sapphire, locking it in place. Look at that. There is not a bezel around there to distract you. I'll put it right in front of the white so you can see I even have that so perfectly straight. That's hard to do. Set in there from both directions. You'd expect nothing less from a master goldsmith. Look at these. Look at that. You can tell the color. Not Thai sapphires. Madagascan sapphires on the side. Same thing. Flush set. No prongs to snag. You can see that then. Look, nothing to wear either. And so very securely set. This, you know, I could have kept this ring a long time and enjoyed it for a lot longer still, but today seemed to be the moment. All right, so let me show you. That's that direction. That is this direction. It is one of the most unusual bicolor sapphires I have ever seen. You can see it from behind, and then you can also see how solid this is. Solid. I didn't hollow out any of the metal. European style shank. That's when they you square off the corners like that, and talk about effective to keeping the ring from turning on your hand. And what it does is, amazingly, just those little corners like that, when it starts to go like that, it's just enough that keeps it in place. That corner doesn't allow it just to flip and turn around. If you happen to have a knuckle problem or situation. The other thing is, everybody should know, or if you've been watching the show any amount of time, my logo is always been my initials followed by the year that I made the piece in between it. So you have S18S. So I made that in, wow, awesome. It's been 4 years since we did that series. So 2018, you have an S at each end with an 18 in the middle. And I think I probably even engrave it on the show as well. Then you have the 14 karat stamp over here. Solid all the way through and through. Yep. I mean, nice, clean, simple lines, but it doesn't matter. This is a men's or ladies ring, as you can see. Now, I happen to have small hands, so it's a 7 3/4. But look at this. It's easy to be sized. It can be sized, and I do that as well. Now, let me show you. Your choices are, if you talk to the sales rep, let's say that I actually polished this up because it was scratched. But if you want, now on my platinum ruby ring, which you've seen, this is a Burma no heat cab that's facet grade quality. But okay, you can see I had a polished bezel around the ruby, and it has gotten a little bit of scratched, but it doesn't usually much when it's right up to it. So that was the idea here. And then I call it pre-scratching the ring. You can see the brush finish that I put on this ring, all right, because I knew, especially in platinum, that it was going to get scratched up anyway. And this ring, I put that on, oh, I don't know, maybe, let's see, Raven, she made she made payments on this back to my partner who had it, and I had actually made this ring a long time ago for someone else. And I said, I love the ring so much that I made for someone else. I said, if you ever part with it, I said, give me first option, and they did. So all right, so you can see I hollowed it out because it's platinum, and again, same idea, same thing. No raised bezel, flush set, clean lines. Now, so if you want a pre-scratched finish on it, I'll be happy to do that. For no extra charge or anything, of course. and can do it at the same time. Size it if you need it sized. This ring is going to be like no other you will ever find. It is absolutely, truly one of a kind. And, what was that? That's from probably me polishing earlier. Look at that. Look at that.
You have 2 videos on this.
Ah, 2 videos.
Bezel set.
Okay.
And the flush set.
Okay.
With the gemstones on the side.
Excellent. Okay, so also just updated me. There are definitely videos available for you to be able to, see and have the recorded makings of this ring. So pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. You don't get that often either. And the zoning like that in those just really, really straight lines is I had never seen that before in any cabochon. And if you faceted it, you would never have gotten to see those clean lines. It would have broken it up. So whoever originally cut the rough did a great job in choosing a cabochon as opposed to a faceted stone on this piece. All right, so made by Shawn. This ring obviously is never going to be less than what I am offering it for now, because I was even talking to Latif about it, and yeah, he said, man, that's cheap. That's cheap. He said, you should see what things are going for now. I said, well, I know. I said, that's what you get when you're in this show. So you get great stuff at prices that I have no idea what things sometimes really are anymore. I get a little disconnected from it sometimes myself. So anyway, if you want the opportunity, this is a truly custom-made ring. It says made by Shawn. I'm reading the rest of the information off the tag. I have it completely full, as much info on it as you can get. But here you go, $1,288. $1,288, never going to be less than that. And there's only going to be one of it. And you've seen me wear and enjoy that ring. And if you want something else engraved on the inside, I will be happy to do that for no additional charge as well. And that is only the kind of service you'll get here right at Gem Shopping. And, in this show in particular, you get the actual person that does the work for other vendors here, the faceting, of course, and not just faceting, but the really hard sizings. Oh, yeah. The ones that are outside the normal range that they do, guess who gets them all? Yep, you got it. But that's okay. Doing what I do at the level I do it, it wouldn't be much fun unless it was hard anymore at this point. And okay, we have so much to do. I could go on and on about that ring, but let's get going on these other items. All right, let's look at 1066522. I have to be careful on how I say these numbers now that I realize that if I say them wrong, they're going to sound wrong. They'd be wrong. Okay, so now, out of all the triplite I bought, this was the only and closest piece I ever had that was in the matrix. Look at that. In the matrix. And I say this is quartz. I never really tested it for anything else. But actually, well, I'm going to leave it as quartz. Anything else, then you're going to get a really big bonus as to what it is. I'm just a little curious as to this this crystal formation. I'm not even looking at the triplite now. This is curious. I should have done a hardness test and some others. But let's go back to the triplite. Look at this. This is Gemmy triplite. We already know that Harry cut an amazing 40-something porter from some of the other rough that I had that he purchased from a batch, and it was incredible stone that he got out of it. Let me backlight this a little bit, and let me show you. Look at the color of this triplite. It is that beautiful pinkish orange, just exactly what you want, kind of like a paparazzi color. And it is very gemmy, but look at that stone light up. That's kind of let me try one other thing, if I have my other light here. Oh, I don't. But, yeah, so this is the only, out of all of the triplite that I have, which is a good bit, well, relatively a good bit, maybe 2 kilos or so. it's the only one in quartz out of all of it, if that's quartz. I mean, for all I know, it could be goshenite or something. But yeah, and it's the most matrix-oriented piece. Some beautiful irises in this, actually. And so, wow. I mean, you know, the irises alone in this is gorgeous. Here's the other interesting thing. Look at these crystals back here. Okay, those aren't quartz. So I have it. I did a fluorescent check, and yeah, there's some unusual fluorescence down here, but I think it's the surface fluorescence on these crystals. Now, I try to figure out everything on different specimens, but sometimes it's, you know, just don't always have the time. This would be one left for some of you out there to do a little, look at that, to do a little studying on. I mean, they almost look like they could be dodecahedrons of garnet or something. You know, I did find out, because I think you might see it, you can actually scrape the surface off, especially since I think it's like a calcite surface. So maybe they're calcite crystals underneath, but this is an unusual piece. So lots of cool stuff going on. It is the only one I have like it, and only one I'm going to have like it, period. And if you like to collect rare things in the matrix, boy, that's the one, because I can tell you that out of all the material I have seen and gotten, that one piece right there is the only one. $58. Only $58. And yeah. Oh, so let me show you. I think this ring actually, what I'm putting it in is, because I don't know, it just looked cool. Is it one of these suspension boxes? I just thought it was a good way to display it. So you'll get that as well. And it also really protects the ring, which right now for me, saying goodbye to it, because I have a feeling I am saying goodbye to it. But you know, what better time, what better use, and you know, that's where I have thanked so many of you, like even Miss Penny told me, you know, who's limited, you know, has Mahalis, her, I think, what, 10-year-old now, 11-year-old rockhound, started off here when he was 8 or 9, and so, you know, everyone has limited budgets, and she picked up some really wonderful, wonderful items, and so that's why I am glad that everyone shops carefully, and you get a lot of value right here. And that's why George, straying from the family and buying off the internet, has bought a fake trapeche. Sorry, George, I'm using you for example. But I have talked about this. George hasn't watched the show enough. So many times, and I have used exactly that term about natural, how they, with semantics, you know, if it says natural quartz, it doesn't mean it's naturally grown quartz, and all these other things. And watch for out of country Caribbean dealers. You know, once they're out of the country, you lose so many rights, and yeah, including the right. Okay, including the right to own your to keep your money as yours. So take advantage of these items, because you'll know exactly what you're getting. 106-6222. 106-6222. And here is another goodie you guys haven't seen. Anything like that. You might have seen things like that, but you have not seen something of this level of quality. That is a incredible piece of ruby in fuchsite. Now, not ruby in smaragdite or ruby in zosite like you have seen it in. This is fuchsite, and fuchsite is a type of chromium-bearing muscovite, chromium-bearing mica. Chromium-bearing mica, and it is, when it is found with the rubies, oftentimes around the edge of the rubies, there'll be even kyanite, a blue ring of kyanite that can be found in some of these. I don't know if any of these have it, but that, if you see or find it, that's what it is. This is a stunning quality one. Of course, we high grade them when we see them. So there, if you see blue, that'll probably be a kyanite involved. Really nicely shaped crystals. There's crystals on every front. Now, I saw some of these on the internet offered for sale. They would have like one ruby. They were some of the ugliest ruby and fuchsite I've ever seen. Look at that. See how well shaped that crystal form is? That is, you know, when I go and looking at these specimens, that's what one of the things I look for is, look at that. See the shape of the actual crystal form. That counts, especially in the bigger sizes versus the smaller sizes. Things that you wouldn't normally think about, I do. And so you get the full value. Look at how beautiful that is. All the way around, little pyramid shape. And then look at the bottom. Look at the bottom. So, yeah, this, no matter which way it is, oh, see that? See that little reflection there? That's one of the things you look for, again, remember, in, not always, but it is a telltale sign of what might be a star from if you have a perfectly formed crystal, and it does that. So this is a fantastic shaped pyramid. You can see it in my hand for the relative size that it is. And coming from the well-known source in India that this material is found at, which is the, well, Madikeri area and the Carnstake deposit. So where well-known rubies and these kind of things are found at. Price on this guy, only $48. Only $48. And, you know, you might see these less, but you have to take into account the quality, because that matters tremendously in the value of it in the end. I mean, you know, if one has only one ruby, or it is a poor polish, or not polished on the bottom, or doesn't have the bevels, the beveled edge. There's so many other things that if you're not used to looking and what you, like I said, the shape of the crystals. So, you know, I'm even was showing you the bad face. Look, I mean, look at that face. And then when you get extra goodies like that, I didn't look at that. That may actually be a sapphire there. So, completely possible. All right, I'm just putting away that ring and that triplet while I was talking to you, because of course the raven isn't here. Now, let me show you a couple. Oh, wow, you guys are going to go crazy over this. I had saved this one. Okay, let me tell you the number. Okay, save this one because it was my birthstone, 1065822. And I was going to make a little sphere out of it. And I decided that it was too nice and I'd make a sphere out of another piece. And I did. So I have a little tiny, well, you'll see it. You'll see it. So this was one that was going to be a project crystal. And that's what I was going to use it for. But I decided it really was too fine of a quality piece. Look at this. Look at that. That is what you want if you want what's known as your Mandarin orange garnet, or your Fanta orange garnet, after the color of the soda, and which is actually pretty close. And so this being my birthstone, now remember, this is a spessartine garnet. This has its color rooted in manganese, and let's see, I have right here my neodymium magnet. We'll see if, oh, there's my other flashlight that mimics the color of the sun's Kelvin output. Lesson for another day. All right, so I don't even know. I haven't done this. Let's see what we have. Up, boom. What did I say about Mn+2? Which is manganese. Manganese is very magnetic, but it is only in the valence of the +2 valence. And you can see, there you go. Now, test done there. Shawn proven right. Don't mean to sound like that, but I have been going on and teaching about the use of magnets for gem identification far before anyone else here. And if other gemologists would catch on and just learn a few little things about valences and what's magnetic and what's not, and in what situations, they could do greatly. I mean, so I was telling my brother who has the jewelry store, I was telling him about how to detect real low amounts of infused coloring, like in certain emeralds, and whether it's there or not by putting the emerald on the lid of a gem cup, what we all know, those little plastic gem cups, but on the lid and floating the lid on water. That removes all drag, any drag resistance that you would get. So the least little bit, it will detect if, and I gave him the neodymium magnets I told you the story about, that he thought he could pull them apart. And I was telling him how to use those to detect really, really small percentages of iron in different minerals. And he was more interested in being a tough guy and actually hanging his tools up with them, but he likes to work with wood as well. When you work with your hands, just anything with your hands, like me, I used to carve wood as well because it was just fun. Look at that. Look at the shape of this crystal. Look at the quality. Here's the important thing. Namibia. Yeah, this is not Tanzanian, which nothing wrong with Tanzanian, but the Namibian colors are stronger. They're more desirable as a location. And here's the other cool thing. Over a lot of the Tanzanian stones, they don't have a lot of the dark inclusions that you'll find in the Tanzanian stones, at least especially this one. Let me just shine a little bit of light on it so you can really, let me back that away. Really see just how beautiful a gem is. I mean, you know what? I have seen faceted stones that would have been this quality. And faceted, just, you know, they just would be included. So anyway, this isn't just your regular crystal. If you had this, everything being equal, this crystal, and another one had little dark spots in it, this one would be the better crystal. If the other one had a contact point where it was broken off of a let's say a matrix plate that had a lot of others, so you had a flat contact area, this would be the better crystal, because this is more of a floater. You can't really find the contact point where it would have been connected to the matrix. Yeah, I don't really see one. So so there's those kind of things that you guys may not think of, but I do that thinking for you. All right, so a lot of you might be, think about the Loliondo ones in Tanzania that are very closely associated with where the Tanzanites and all are mined. But the Namibians, I gotta tell you, they are considered the better ones. These are from the Kakkerveld Plateau, Marienfluss, so the well-known locality. Price on this one, wow, it was so high I didn't even figure it. No, really, I have no real concept of how to even evaluate these now. Now, 10 years ago, yes. Now, not so much. But I know this. If I made this one only $58, it would have to be worth that. $58 on that. That's a great value, needless to say. At least I think so. Now, let me show you. And these, again, you guys, this is personal stuff. These are all, you can see why they're unique, different treasures, because they're coming, well, like I said, already predicted months ago, as we go along, you'd be getting deeper and deeper into our collection. 106-7022. 106-7022. And look at this. So since we're on orange, I have another orange item. But I bet you haven't seen anything shaped like that. Look at that. For tangerine quartz. Look at that. Those are quartz crystals, for one thing. So that is what we call habit. So that is a different habit. of quartz, even though it still belongs to the same crystal systems as a regular quartz would. They take on different habits, as we know, because remember we talked about the muso habit that Brad brought up, that we all learned a little bit about, and I still have that amethyst crystal specimen. Thanks, Brad, for educating me, so you guys didn't get a really good deal on that amethyst crystal set that you guys should have bought. So this piece, what is so cool is those are quartz crystals, which normally terminate, in a completely different form than what you see here. And even with the little nicks, because of that form, it makes them real desirable. Then you have the irises in it, which of course is quite desirable. But look at that. Look at that. I mean, that is almost like an opal when it's like that. It really is. It really is when it's like that. And you have three-dimensional plays of color. Look at the shape. Now, that's hematite. So hematite is what is giving you this orange color. Now, a lot of times the hematite will be a surface coating, and if you put it in a kind of a regular acid, it would actually come off. That happens with like a lot of the Diamond Hill from South Carolina quartz. It's a beautiful orange on the surface or black, but you treat it with acid and off it all comes. This seems to go deeper than the surface. There seems to be a more enhanced colors internally as well. So look at the irises, and yeah, that's probably the main reason why we kept this specimen, or especially Raven. Look at that. I mean, that's hard to find in the best of specimens, let alone something like this. That is striking, simply striking, and makes up for any other little defects in the crystals, in my opinion. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, that would have been what we would have pulled this out for and set it aside. It's actually sat on my nightstand for quite some time. So I saw it, it's like, you know what? Wow, look at that. Okay, so here, you want something really special and really unique, grab that for, if for nothing else. I should have actually added iris quartz to the description, because that is some of the strongest and most beautiful iris formations I have ever seen. Especially it is in tangerine quartz by far. It's better than anything else I've seen. All right, so price on this guy. Let's make it a excellent opportunity for someone if you're collecting quartz and want something neat and unusual for not a lot of money. $28. $28. We've got something for everybody. Only $28 there. Let me set aside a few things. Okay, now let's look at 10. I'm trying to read this. 10-66722. Show this. Yep, it came up right. All right, now this will maybe for some, the cutters of you guys out there are gonna like this, and the collectors, if you collect crystals, maybe not so much, but I simply loved it because of the unusual color and genuine color. Look at this. Oh, wow. Okay, so I can tell you this. I'm looking at the color on the screen we have. I don't know if your TV at home shows the same, but our screen, of course, Oscar's just fine-tuned the cameras and everything. It mimics that color perfectly. It is picking up the color of this. Look at this. This is an incredible color morganite. This is genuine color morganite. This isn't that peach color morganite that I'm telling you is the most common that you see, which is also mostly treated to the extent of heat sometimes, and usually you come out with that color. The real value in morganite lies in the fact of it if it is pink. The difference between pink and those peachy, brownish orange colors is huge. If you have a color in this range, it is far more valuable. Here's the other thing I saw about this. Okay, and this is what often happens. All right, so you get this piece of rough out of the ground. It's nothing special to collect or keep for crystal form, right? So they may, a cutter will look at this, and the same thing with diamonds, and they look at this. Especially in the extent of let's say it's a pink diamond, and you have all this other cloudy pinkness over here, but in one portion of it, even if almost regardless of what it is, if you find one little area that is clean, and you may not know that until you're on the interior of it even, or start cutting away the areas that aren't. In this particular piece, it may be hard to pick up, but there was a really a clean area right up in this portion of it. And clean, I mean, if you have this, you can see it's 390 carats. If you cut a 5-carat stone that is clean, pink morganite, natural color, you're looking at a value far, far exceeding this specimen. And that is how you really find out, is you have to remove what you know is not clean, and slowly work towards the part that you can work with, which I saw kind of a gemmy area. Not saying that necessarily is, but I definitely saw, as you can see, a gemmy area. Like you can see my finger right back all the way through there, right in deeper in there. But I'm just saying, you could tumble this and find out. You could tumble the parts that aren't any good, or you can leave it like it is, because you can see right there is one of the crystal faces. And you can picture the bigger crystal that this actually would have come from if this was one of the 6 sides to the beryl crystal, the morganite, the bigger piece. But this is all I got of it. But it is in that rich, deep color of pink, a very valuable color. Plus, remember, it is natural color. This piece, believe it or not, is only $44. If you try to get cutting rough and anything like that, it would far exceed that in this level of color. Excellent opportunity, and there's nothing that goes to waste in the end, because whatever you cut away, you can make some beautiful cabs from it. You can tumble what's left, and again, if you come out with a stone that's 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 carats, anywhere in there, the price per carat, it far, far exceeds what you end up paying for the rough. All right, now I have next another really goodie for you, and of course it's I think overall probably the most popular and desired color overall. 1066122. All right, I have something special for you. Never have you seen this one. I had thought about, maybe doing then there was going to be too much loss, maybe putting it into my little sphere maker. Well, in the sphere maker I have, I consider it more like large bead maker, because it'll only make spheres up to 1 inch. But that's all I wanted. I wanted to take nicer gemstones and make little spheres out of them and whatnot. But this one would have lost too much. So I tell you what, let me show you this. Okay, now you see the rounded corners. It looks almost like it's tumbled. This is where one of the Tanzanian crystals would have wound up into the river system, like so many things are in Tanzania. A lot of them are alluvial. And in so many of the gem deposits, like Sri Lanka, almost so many other deposits are alluvial. In other words, but maybe 30 feet under the ground. And same thing with Mogok deposits. So many of them will have, maybe they can find the original vein deposit, but over time, just like the Cowie Valley, they never found the original deposit of where the crystals came from. Most of them were found in the valley itself and in the gravels that were at different levels. So remember, a valley can wash in from the mountainsides around it over time. You're talking geologic time. At one time, remember, the Appalachian Mountains were as high as the Rockies and as pointed. And in, a couple 100 million years from now, the Rocky Mountains are going to look like the Appalachians. They're going to be rounded down. So where does all that soil and dirt go? It washes into the valleys. And all of a sudden, the creek that at the time washed away that was cutting through the original, and this applies to gold, it applies to, pretty much any of the gems and heavy metals that we seek. So as the creek cuts through these deposits, as it's wearing its way down, think about the Grand Canyon, 1 mile deep. When it started up at the plateau level, and over time, it cut that channel all the way down through it. So, even in smaller valleys, they may not cut something a mile down, but they may cut something 30 feet. So over time, all that dirt will wash over the original deposit when the creek washed through the vein or the surrounding area. Those gems got washed into the creek at that point. But add geologic time to it, and it adds many feet over the top of that original deposit. So there's a lot of deposits that they're working, alluvial deposits, like in pretty much anywhere. Like, okay, we'll take Ceylon. They have both deposits there. And they build these really, really out of bamboo, these crude structures that you have to go down into, and by sheer 5-gallon bucket at a time, they'll bring up the gravels at the level that they find the gems. And in different areas, it's different depths. But many of them, it's around 30 feet down. Like the opal deposits in Lightning Ridge. I've been down in the mines there. They happen to be 30 meters, or roughly, let's say, 90 to 100 feet down is where the layer of opals formed. And so it's not easy. It's not easy. Now, so you get a crystal that washed out at some point. It got into the river system, washed down the river system to a point, and it tumbled it just enough. Remember, spinel's a hardness of 8. So let's look at this. Let's look at the color behind this. And look at that. I took away the dark, the black, and the black does not change the color at all. It just changes your ability to how you see in the gem. And we'll look at it with the black in a minute. Look at that color, though. That is, to me, purple. Like I said, one of the most popular, if not popular, most popular colors. It's certainly, I think, mine. And remember, for a long time back, especially in the days of royalty, people weren't allowed to wear the color purple. It was deemed a royal color, and only royalty could wear purple. Look at that. Now, does that have a cuttable gem in it? I don't know. I'll leave it to you cutters out there, because there's a lot of different things you could do. You could just polish it on the faces as it exists right now, which I think would be cool. If you just polished every face as you see it right now, that would leave its original beauty intact, and then add a nice polished finish to it, which wouldn't take much. I mean, you're almost probably at a 400 grit, 600 grit kind of finish as it is right there. Diamond would be a great thing to finish her up quick. Look at that. Look at those colors in there. So this piece, I don't know. I love stuff like that. How about this? I have, $77. $77. So $7 a carat. And that's not something that can be bought for that. Look at that size of it in my hand. And you can see relative to my hand just how big that is. That is a really nice crystal. And you can see it is, of course, it's very well defined isometric crystal system that it belongs in. Same crystal system as diamond. And because of that crystal system, it is not going to be bifringent. By that I mean it's not going to be doubly refractive. So it's singly refractive. And that is something that you can tell and determine what a lot of gemstones are by the difference in the high and low of the refractive index. The difference is called the bifringence. And another way to a great way to detect and determine what certain gemstones are. It's also what gives, when stones are really strongly bifringent and doubly refractive, that's what gives things like peridot that can have a soft, is so strong, a soft kind of little haze to them sometimes. Zircons especially, like blue zircons. Beautiful, beautiful dispersion of light in them also, but they're so highly doubly refractive that they can look kind of sleepy as well. So cutting becomes important on those. All right, so price on that, only $77. I'm not going to have another one. That is the only one left. All right, let's look at item 1066622. And this is another specimen that, for the size that it is, really shows off a lot of crystalline form to it. Look at this. Look at that. These are beautiful Pakistani zircon crystals. Since we were just talking about zircons, I thought it would be a good time to segue right in to one right here. And this, look at the size of it, but look at how many zircons are in it. And here's the cool thing. It has agarine, and a lot of agarine, because most of the time you'll find black biotite mica, which is a different mica you find with it, but that's not what you have in these. These are crystals of agarine, which of course you're familiar with, because I've offered you some really beautiful crystals of agarine from Mali. Look at that. Look at that. And the other really cool thing, the yellow, look at that, beautiful fluorescence. Wow. You know, if you ever wanted to find one of these crystals and if it was like embedded amongst micas or other things, shortwave fluorescence makes these glow so bright that I know you fluorescent collectors have to have one. Have to have one. It's really strong, and it's amazing. It's the shortwave, so that's not nearly as common as fluorescence for long wave minerals. So for that reason alone, it would be certainly worth a great prize to have. Really is. Wow. I don't know. There's so much cool things to look at on this, and it's one of the ones that I had kept because it was that special, and but I'm going to pass that along now at an excellent opportunity. Ready, set, only, what do we have here? $68. Wow, only $68 on that. And for, if you, figured the number of crystals against the value there, that's not a lot. That is a small but mighty specimen, a term that Raven likes to refer to herself. And I think she, after the way I see her coming back from double pneumonia, I am going to go along with her. She gets my respect for her recovery. Now, this next item, it is the only one I have ever had like it. And there, some of you out there have to be interested in it. It is item 1066422. 1066422. And it is, look at this. Okay. If I said, I have a melanite for sale, would you really know what that was? Would you really know what melanite is? Most likely no, because that term isn't used, or you haven't seen it. Melanite is the black variety of andradite. So it is, there is a black garnet, and you are looking at it. And that is what is makes this really unique. Now, the name, of course, Miss Penny would know. She's our Greek heritage rockhound. And, so many of these words are linked back to the Greek language. Of course, so many of them have been named when not only through the period of Greece's dominance in that part of the world, but also further on into the scientific community. Greek and Latin had a lot to do with it, but Greek more so than any other language. So in Greek, melanos means black. I think it probably has something to do with melanoma, which I could probably show you a few of those that are black as well. So, and here's the thing. Here's the difference. It's andradite, so it's one of the eugrandite families that have calcium in it, and it has Fe3 plus for iron. Let's see what if I get any kind of a magnetic response. Absolutely none. Isn't that amazing? Because it is the particular valence of iron that it becomes anti-magnetic. We won't get into the science behind that, but I could. So the black part, you know what creates that? Titanium. Yep. This is a garnet with titanium. And let's look at the crystals. Look at the crystals. Titanium is used, of course, as it's really light metal. And it's used for hardening and whatnot. And you can almost see, look at that, the reflection is like no other. Look at that polished surface. Look at that. You can just, that diamond shape compared to other garnets. Look at these. Look at these crystals. This is one of the finest. Well, this probably actually is the finest garnet specimen for melanite I've ever had. And so it's been part of my collection, but I thought, no, I am going to part with this. Now, you guys, I offered it one time. Look at this. Look at the back. These can be cleaned up and brightened up. And here's one thing I'll tell you can use. You can actually use a wire brush on these, even a steel wire brush. Brass wire brushes are softer, so you may want to start with that. But what I noticed, though, the color of the brass will actually come off on certain crystals. And so you have to then scrub the brass off. So it kind of, but it won't do it on the steel wire brushes. So you can clean up specimens like that are hard enough, or something like this, the back, that you don't have much risk involved here. But it would certainly clean up a lot of the red that's on the surface of them, and remove some and bring the garnets out more so if you wanted to. Now, the front, it's just fine. It is just fine. You could clean up some of the background if you wanted to and pull out, help brighten up some of these others. But this specimen, truly, Mali, yeah, from Mali. And garnets are from Mali, beautiful. There's beautiful yellow mixed garnets that are members of 3 different family members of garnet get involved for the Mali garnets. This is truly a rare specimen. Now, I know exactly where it comes from. You can see that in the description. So look at that. The contrast against the red is desirable. I mean, look, wow. Stunning. How about this? Okay, $88. Only $88. And not going to be lower than that at any point. And being that it's part of, my birthstone collection, that would be an easy one for me just to decide to want to put back in the collection. Okay, now before we move anywhere, I wanted to show you this last week. It comes from North Carolina, and we had talked about, remember, Bisolite being a potential for the inclusion that was in, and this does relate back to andradite garnets, the inclusion that was in the incredible Russian andradites. And the horsetail inclusions. The reality of what it is chrysotile. Is one of the ways they can refer to it, or what they call white asbestos. So it is true asbestos that is found, and what in the inclusion, it's the only stone I know where an inclusion is desirable and people want an inclusion in their gemstone, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, the horsetail inclusion, you know what creates that horsetail, those fine little fibers? Well, I'm going to show you. And this is a specimen straight from North Carolina. And this is also, of course, what they used to mine, of course, and have for everything from insulation, before there was such a thing as fiberglass. And also you had oven mitts made out of it. They still, and I have one, they try to go to alternate things, but asbestos gloves for taking things out of really hot furnaces. So let me show you. Here, just a little lesson. This is a lesson stone, not for sale, but I want to show you because not many people get an opportunity to get to see white asbestos. So this is the type of asbestos they're talking about. And you can see, look at this. This is not dust. This coming off of it is the asbestos itself. And you can see that wavy nature to the asbestos. And if I wanted to sit here and just there we go, right there, and peel that off. And right there, doesn't that look like a horse's tail? That's a big horse's tail, or small in the world of gemstones. But you can see, as we come in a little closer on it, exactly why and how that could easily be a horse's tail inclusion in an andradite garnet, and how perfectly that displays itself as I peel that off, and how easily that can occur in a geologic environment. Because remember, asbestos, it can take temperature. So you can have something form around it with no problem. And neat small piece from North Carolina that I'm going to hang on to, because it is the real deal for what is known as chrysotile or white asbestos. And by the way, you can actually see, you see that eye coming across there and that chatoyancy like that? All right, so you have cat's eyes and you have other eye, look at that eye, formations that are formed by minerals that run as an inclusion, just like rutile creates the star in sapphires. Same thing, and you can see how this could play a role in similar formations very easily. That's pretty neat, huh? All right, so there you go, just a little additional education there, and nothing like an example of something to put things in a better understanding by seeing it visually versus trying to describe it. Okay, I'm getting ready to show you one of the most amazing items that you'll be seeing. This is a wonderful personal specimen that we have enjoyed and had for some time. This is item 1067122. 1067122. And when we used to go to different shows, we often used to treat ourselves to a particular piece that we would keep as part of our collection and come back with it. Well, this was one of those, and you know, we've enjoyed it. It's now time to share it with all of you, and it is, we both absolutely fell in love with it. Look at this. It sits on a base, you can see, carved and made out of actual driftwood, and it is one of the finest pieces of amethyst as I start to show you. So you can see this has been made into a sphere, and look at how large this individual crystal is. This, look at it, it is peppered with little calcite crystals. So you're going to see those as we explore this piece, because this has a lot going on. Okay, now let's explain some of these inclusions. First, in case you want to rush to the phone and be the first to grab it, let me tell you the price. if I can, let me get out my little, well, I remember it. My brain remember. Okay, so it's only $448. Only $448. Now I'm going to show you what you get for that. Besides these incredible, okay, let's start with the external inclusions. All right, things of interest. Look at these beautiful calcites as crystals. But now, as you look anywhere on this, and we can even look right here, as we look closer in, look at these other inclusions. And there is all kinds of them. And here is where a lot of people get inclusions wrong in this material. You can see these are this is like calcite along the edge. All right. When you see these broom straw type formations, they can be golden, they can be dark. You can see some of them right here where they're golden and they're kind of flared out. And that, believe it or not, many people want to call it caucasinite. Caucasinite is a mistaken name, often being used for what is commonly goethite, which we know is an iron oxide. And goethite, you've seen me have it as botryoidal formations. I have it in a smoky quartz here we might get to from Colorado, more of a solid kind of formation. It can come in many different ways. Goethite can be golden, but most of the time, if it's golden, it is going to be like a broom. It's going to be elongated. When you have these black inclusions that you see here, that is goethite as well in its black form, which tend to be more circular. Now, true caucasinite actually is iron with phosphate in it. And it's a completely different mineral. I saw a website and I couldn't believe it. It was a website specializing in quartz that was included. And they put goethite, and next to it in parentheses, they put caucasinite. The two are totally different minerals. I don't get it. And yeah, so a lot of people actually misrepresent or misdescribe what the difference between caucasinite and goethite. Now, as you look, there is any number of these, and these are all desirable. Look at this. Look at these. Some are really nice size. Caucasinite, I didn't have room to put everything, may very well be present. If it is going to look like that. They're going to be golden and they're going to be round as opposed to elongated. And there's every type of other inclusions in here. You're going to see the elongated ones here. We'll stop right here because here's the other thing that is a definite. You see these red inclusions? Hematite. These are your hematite inclusions. Your hematite can also be spotted like you see here. So you have hematite there spotted. You also have the elongated strands of hematite. You have goethite. Here's hematite. As we spin this, look at this. There's so much to offer this. Hematite here. Calcites on the exterior. Goethite here. There is most likely phantoms. I don't even think I looked for phantoms, but there may be phantoms in the growth of these crystals as you have fun looking at them. This is the real jewel, this really large crystal. And let me spin this around and let me see if I can backlight this just for a moment. And let's look into this. Wow, look at that color. Look at that color. This is one of those specimens you could spend hours gazing at the inclusions that are on the interior of this. Let me get there we go. And each and every crystal. Look at this. Is that? Nope, that's it on the inside. So here is a white circular growth, most likely calcite. Look at this. Look at these. These are interior calcite formations. Look at this little additional area here that's darkened. Oftentimes could be another mineral on the interior of that. Wow. Look, see what I mean? This is why, Raven and I got this specimen. We didn't want just plain amethyst crystals without inclusions. What fun is that? It is the inclusions that make the specimen. It makes it so much more interesting. And in the collector world, more valuable. Again, plain amethyst crystals are a lot more common than included crystals. The more different kinds of inclusions in them that you get, the better it is. I have to feel the surface to see if it's exterior or interior. That's a beautiful exterior calcite crystal. Or is it? Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But get your little pen light flashlight out and get ready to spin. It has irises there, you can see. I have no doubt, it would be almost unimaginable for this not to have rutile, or in some form inclusion. Remember, the rutile takes on a couple other forms as well. Brookite being another polymorph of it. The color of the amethyst is extremely desirable, really rich in the color purple, and with all those calcites, look at that. It is stunning, stunning. A really wonderful, wonderful overall specimen, and displayed on the on the driftwood, petrified wood. I'm so used to thinking everything is a rock. Look at that. You can see how big it is. I mean, it doesn't even need any other additional lighting, but if you wanted to spotlight it, if you wanted to do something else with it. It has another area down here that can perfectly situated to put another little sphere or another specimen that might relate to the amethyst for you. But yeah, this was expensive when we bought it and worth every penny of it since then. And you can see this also is all natural rock. It's none of the kind of plaster of Paris. Sometimes they put it on the back to support the geodes and all as they take them out. It's the real deal all the way around. I was just looking at what the best angle to show off that big crystal is. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. And a stunning example of everything that it has. And if you ever want then to go and learn or compare other specimens to this, this is your study specimen. This has got your inclusions that will you can compare against the others. And wow, those calcites on the exterior are really, really fascinating. So I know there's hematite, caucasinite, goethite, most likely rutile. Yeah, it has exterior calcite. So lots of things going on there at an incredible opportunity for value. And again, the difference between this, just everything being the same, and a specimen without the calcites and all those other inclusions in it, makes it, and I would think to all of you, it definitely makes it to me a much less interesting specimen if it did not have those inclusions in the course. Think about it. Think about how boring it is. So that's why to get one with all those inclusions, that adds value. That adds value. So if you're comparing, apples with apples, that's what you would have to compare to get the same kind of sense of value. Because again, one without all those goodies, to any rock hound or mineralogist, we're going to want those other inclusions. It tells us and completes the story of what was going on geologically and what minerals were present while everything was being formed. And That's the way we look at it. Those in the know. Okay, now, since we were just talking about, let's look at something. 1038421. 1038421. Okay, so let me take this away. Let me try to do this without scratching up the nice boards. All right. Let me just move this. And now move this back. Okay. Now, we were talking about the Colorado goethite. Let's look at this specimen. For one, look at all the smoky quartz on here. Look at it. Now, this is from the same mine that also is well known for incredible amsonite, the Dreamtime claim. The Dreamtime claim. Now, here's where, as we come in on this, it has the specular hematite. And I told you that I thought when I first saw specular hematite, I associated it with the copper, that fake stone that had copper inclusions. They called it sunstone. Well, I thought specular hematite was actually a fake stone because it looked just like the copper fake stones, except, it had metallic flakes. No, specular hematite is a real stone. And this is what it looks like. This is the hematite. If I took that and polished a cab out of that material, you would get that specular hematite look. So you can see this has quartz crystals everywhere, but it also has, look at this. Okay, so here's your specular hematite. Remember, goethite is basically chemically the same mineral, just it's a pseudomorph, just a little bit different formation. And here is the goethite, the solid goethite, is the black, the dark here. Now, look at all the smoky quartz, and it's goethite that you can touch without getting your hands totally dirty. This is so fascinating. Here's the specular hematite. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. And then smoky quartz. This, all the way around, this specimen is three-dimensional. Sits in so many different ways. And I haven't actually looked at it closely for other unusual minerals, which I have no doubt are probably there. Like, I wonder what exactly that is. I just would have to look, because there are so many nicely formed smoky quartz, true smoky quartz, not heat treated, not treated either, not radiated like so many other the really dark smoky quartzes that are almost black. Count on those being radiated. Yes, if you have black smoky quartz, and I'm talking about really dark soda smoky quartz, it will be treated. Because smoky quartz isn't naturally found that dark. Look at how pretty that is. This specimen it amazes me because it's large, it's cabinet quality size, it has beautiful rare specular hematite associated with it. It's from a well-known claim, the Dreamtime claim in Colorado, and has goethite on it. So it really displays nicely. And I have the price on this, sale priced at only $77. $77 on that. So look at the size of that. And from where it's from. Wow. And that's just one side of it. Look at that. Look at all that beautiful specular hematite through there. And you can see it better actually through there, all the little sparkles that, and some of the banding that can occur. So I was real surprised when I offered this before that no one, look at all those crystals of smoky. It's gorgeous. For only $77, a lot of bang for the buck on that one. All right, now, the clock is going to run out on me before I did not realize I did. Sorry about that, Asif. Do we need to wrap it up? Okay, all right, last item of the show. Wow, 1066022. At least I get a last item in the show in, and check this out. Check this out. Now, we were talking about the triplite earlier. I have another beautiful stone right here, and this is a gem, believe it or not. This is often the way triplite is found. It's very rare to even be found in any kind of crystalline shaped form. Look, you have the pinks in this, you have oranges in this, and this is for someone that you could want to maybe cut it or keep it as a specimen, but either way, it's only $28. $28. And do I have one more minute also? Okay, one more minute, because there's a really fine specimen here that I wanted to show you, and the time got away from me. You know what? I won't. Also, if this is going to take a few minutes, I have a stunning specimen that I am going to save for the next show. Asif has to go, and I do not want to step on that hard time that when he has to quit. So that's going to be the last item of the show. What a great item to finish on for only $28 individual dollars on that. I'll be right back with the trivia questions. Okay? Wow. You know, show went by fast, but we had a few extra of those comments, and took some time, and but that's quite all right, because y'all were worrying about Raven, and I'll be happy to get back to her care, but she's not left alone, believe me. She's hanging. She's gonna, you know, I was just talking to Sam, who main person she works with here. All of you know Sam if you watch any of the main shows. Beautiful, beautiful estate and antique jewelry. I can highly tell you and support his show and tell you to watch it. She's the one that does all the turntables. So, you know, everybody is cared for. And so she said to me 2 days after getting out of the hospital, she goes, I need to get back to work. And, you know, Sam laughed like I did. It's like, you know, no, cool your jets, little girl. You know, you have just, you know, cheated death. And but with that kind of attitude and that, you know, she's raring to go. She'll be back on her feet. And so thank you all for your care regarding her. Okay, I've got 2 questions for you. Trivia questions. Ready, set? Trivia questions will always have to do with something we covered in the show or in the past, or something you should know, or something I'm testing you to know. So pretty much from my end, it could be wide open, but most of the time been fairly easy. This time I think I have an easy one and a hard one, or 2 mediums. Depends on how well you maybe took notes. All right, question number 1. What unusual additional element is found in melanite? I'm not even going to tell you what melanite is now. All this, it's up to you from here. So, what unusual additional element is present in melanite? Let's go to question number 2. What is another name for white asbestos? What is another name for white asbestos? And this is actually important. Not only because it's not usually referred to as white asbestos, and by the way, white asbestos accounts for 95% of the asbestos used or in the market or that's mined. So when people refer to asbestos, it's almost always this type of asbestos. The type of asbestos that I showed you is white asbestos. And also the type of asbestos that forms in and as the horsetail inclusion in andradite. That's why you need to know these things. One of the most beautiful, unusual gems and highly sought after, and you can find them. I know, well, I'm even going to spit out some vendor names if you want to look for some. I know Zano. When you see that show come up, if you're in the market for one, call in during the live show when he's there and request to see one of his Russian horsetail inclusion demantoids. And so remember, demantoid is the type of andradite garnet. I often just use the family name, which would be andradite, but the specific kind are the beautiful green demantoids from the Urals, from Russia, with the horsetail inclusion. So there's one in case you want to, interested in one. I have the mineral form. So, again, what is another name for white asbestos? Those are the two questions I am interested to know. And let's see. So, by the time, let's see, yep, it's going to be officially summer. Already feels like it really hot. Nothing but 90s in the forecast coming up. And, and I wouldn't be able to go outside and prospect if I was all totally healthy. So, all right, I got to run because I has to run. I'm going to put up this wonderful, wonderful gems and minerals that I've showed you. I didn't even get to all the other goodies I want to show you, so it's going to be a great next show you're going to want to see and take it in as well. God bless all of you. Thank you all for your cares, prayers, and kind comments. And I look forward to seeing you at the next show.